Hi, Rama. It's week 23, day 4 of our Bible narrative reading plan. Today we are in 1 Kings chapter 1. As we are beginning the look at the life of King Solomon, that necessarily means that we're also looking at the end of the life of King David. You remember that God made a covenant with King David, promising that from David would come an offspring, a kingdom who would never end, and that God is going to raise up one of David's offspring to be king after him. And so not long after that, we see David's heinous sin with Bathsheba, and the rest of the book of Samuel is telling us the consequences, all of the division within David's house, how Nathan the prophet told him that the sword would never depart from his house. And so we're trying to understand, how is God going to do this? How is he going to keep his promise to David? What happens next as King David, as an old man, is approaching death? We see how this all works out here in 1 Kings chapter 1 and tomorrow in chapter 2. So the beginning of the book, 1 Kings, tells us that David is old, and we are introduced to this young woman named Abishag, the Shunammite, and she's going to come up again in the story. But next we see that Adonijah, one of David's sons, acts very much like Absalom. He wants chariots to go before him. He's going to act as king, and some of the people are with him. We see that Joab and Abiathar the priest, two names that we've seen throughout our study in Samuel, these people are on Adonijah's side. But not everybody's on his side. Their whole kingdom is experiencing the very beginning of division. There's a lot of unhappiness within the land of Israel and the seeds of discord that are going to eventually lead to the complete division in the kingdom. And so not everyone is sure who is going to be the next king. Some of the people are banking on Adonijah, the next in line. But not everyone. Nathan and Bathsheba are not. And so Nathan the prophet, the one who delivered this message to David from the Lord, and Bathsheba, the one with whom David committed adultery, but then David took to be his wife, and their offspring is Solomon. Both Bathsheba and Nathan go and speak to David to find out, look, haven't you said this is going to be Solomon? What is happening? What's going on? Don't you understand what's happening in your kingdom? And we notice when we read the text that even as Adonijah acts very much like Absalom, David acts in this case the same way that he acted in the case with Absalom. He doesn't discipline his son. He doesn't ask him why he's doing the things he's doing. He doesn't actively present himself as king. He works to get Solomon on the throne, but he never confronts his son over his sin. And so we see yet again David's failings as a father in this regard. But David indeed does work to act as king and to set Solomon up as the next king on the throne. He places Solomon on his own donkey, which is a position of kingly authority. It may not sound like much in America, but that's their custom of riding on the king's donkey, the donkey being that animal of pride. And so Solomon is riding on David's donkey, and they have this great ceremony, and all of this is announcing as the people in the kingdom are saying, wait a minute, we thought this guy was king, and now David is saying, no, Solomon is the one who is king. And we see that people are united with Solomon. We see that Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, one of the military men. There's lots of important people, priests and soldiers and prophets. They are united around Solomon, whom God has anointed king, whom David is saying is going to be the proper king of Israel. But we understand that all of this is letting us know that there's great division in the land. There's not smooth sailing ahead of us as we keep looking at what's happening in Israel, which causes us to question, how is God working in all of this? What is going to happen as God has promised a kingdom that will never end, and yet it seems like this kingdom is on the brink of breaking down even from the very beginning. We keep reading our Bibles, trusting that the Lord is at work. Here's a summary of today's reading. For more information, go to tunemyheart.org.